So OpenAI finally released their flagship model ChatGPT-5, and today we're going to be stress testing it through this fairly extensive end-to-end workflow, which in a nutshell is a AI agent-based marketing team, right? So you can ask it to build a full-scale marketing plan for your business, for the service, or for the personal plan, and it's going to do every single thing for you. And it's coming from somebody who's been in marketing for almost 6 years. So I structured it in a way how it goes in corporations or startups, and also all the data that it's going to be logging. And by the way, the spreadsheet also will be available as a free download. So below the video, watch out for two links. First one is going to be to download the edit and workflow JSON template, and also to get this spreadsheet right here, because your AI agent will need it to log all of its findings and data here, right? So we are basically logging everything: budget, research summary, competitor insights, market insights, right? And all of this data is pulled from real-time web, because each of the specialists has actually a web scraping tool attached, meaning that it can access the latest, literally the latest data from the Google, even if it was like posted like an hour ago, it's gonna have an access to that data right away, meaning that you're getting the latest up-to-date insights and data for your marketing plan. Okay, so pretty awesome. So that's kind of about the flow. So now let's jump into the actual ChatGPT-5 model and kind of go through everything in short summary, okay? So what's really cool about it, kind of caught my eye right away, that we have 400,000 tokens, which is pretty massive, right? So the 4.0, it had 200K or 200,000. Now we are essentially at a double, which is really good news if you're working with huge data sets, or you need to go through a lot of data and create a report, or maybe create your own data set, right? Or create a research, right? So many use cases, or even if you're a developer or a coder. So just imagine how much lines of code now you can go through with this huge context window, because we have so many tokens. So now your context window is much bigger, which reduces the hallucination rates by a lot. And actually, GPT-5 tackled this issue, and the hallucination rate is actually very, very low, to my surprise, right? And also, what is really cool, the GPT-5 is delivering 50% cheaper input costs compared with 4.0, right? Just on a side note, the output costs are still one-to-one with 4.0, but at least you're saving on the input costs, okay? But again, we'll discuss the use cases for GPT-5, because it's not really the model where you want to process way too much data, because again, it's more for creative purposes and for coding and more complex tasks. You don't want to like funnel bunch of data just to analyze with GPT-5, because it's still going to cost you a bit of cash. So I even made a mistake. The context window is actually 3 times bigger, not even 2 times. So 3x increase in the context window, which is pretty cool, right? And what's really awesome as well, that it's able on its own to reason and decide which model to use based on the request, right? So you don't need to switch between thinking model or reasoning model, right? So GPT-5 can kind of understand based on the context and a question if it should use the thinking model or reasoning model, or it can just kind of do the quick way of doing things, right? So it's pretty awesome. And here's a bit of cost, right? So you can see the costs are 50% less on the inputs. But again, what's interesting, that the output is actually pretty much identical. Right here, we're paying $10 per 1 million tokens, which is basically identical with the 4.0. So still, don't go crazy and feed like thousands and thousands of data to a GPT-5, because you're gonna pay a bit of money right there. Okay, so still be price conscious when you are doing big data sets with GPT-5, because again, I feel like GPT-5 is really good for creative and for reasoning tasks and for complex coding tasks, for example, right? And we can back it up basically with these stats right here. So 94, almost 95% score for the math compared with 4.0. So there's a big jump, okay, and even a pretty nice change from 0.3, right? For coding, we have 75% almost. And guys, just look at that. 4.0 was only scoring 30.8% on the coding, and O3 was at 70. Okay, so GPT-5 is still dominating all of the other GPT models. But still, like in my personal opinion, for coding, I would always revert back to Claude because Claude is like even above this. So when I need to do coding tasks, and when I use Cursor, for example, a low-code tool for coding, I will always use Claude with the for my coding tasks, right? Because it still dominates GPT-5 at any time of the day, right? But it looks like they're getting there. You know, OpenAI, they're kind of fixing up the coding part for the GPT. So maybe GPT 5.5 or 6, whatever is going to be the next one. I feel like that's going to come closer to maybe 80% ish, I would say. Same thing for reasoning, so pretty good scores, 86% almost, but again, not too far from the previous models either, right? So really the biggest jump is in the math and in the coding, which is still a pretty good progress. And the last thing I really wanted to kind of touch on are the hallucinations, because guys, just look at that. GPT-5 showing only 0.7, 0.8 hallucination rates. Okay, so this actually, I'll be curious to stress test this in a different environment because this sounds just too good to be true. I know Claude is barely hallucinating, but ChatGPT problem was in general that it was hallucinating a lot, right? Especially when doing web search or deep research, and it can't find the data. It's just gonna come up with data just to plug in the gap in there, right? That's something I really didn't like about it. So the minute you have large context windows, it will hallucinate again. But now since we have large context windows, this could be actually a reason why it's hallucinating less. So really good change from OpenAI. Congrats to OpenAI team because this is a really much needed change. And just really kind of a breakdown of how you should be using, in my opinion, the ChatGPT-5. So it's good for complex coding projects requiring multi-file reasoning, right? And debugging complex issues. If you're doing PhD level research or math stuff, right? So it's also gonna stack up really well for those. Long form content generation, which is good, right? If you want to create a long form content or you need to create long scripts, right? It's gonna be really good for that because large context window, it's a creative model, so definitely success there. And then a couple of highlights for the media models and the nano models, guys. Okay. And again, this doc as well will be available as a free download. So you're gonna have three files. You have the N8N workflow, the spreadsheet, and also this doc as your reference that you can use as your reference, guys. Okay. So three files, three freebies, guys. Definitely take advantage of that and make sure to download them. Awesome, guys. So now let's stress test it actually in N8N. So what I'm gonna do, let's come up with like some kind of a micro-SaaS web application idea, and we'll ask the ChatGPT-5 or AIagent on ChatGPT-5 to create a marketing plan for that, and then run the entire research for us. Okay. All right, so I'm saying I want to create a micro-SaaS web application that generates viral YouTube short videos using AI, including captions, voiceover, and music. And then I'm saying I need a marketing plan to launch it in preliminary stages, right? So I'm just asking a preliminary marketing plan, meaning not a full-scale, ready-to-go plan. I just wanted to kind of come up with some initial ideas. So I'm going to say here, come up with initial marketing plan. Oh my god, I'm making so many typos. Marketing plan. Let me just fix the typo here. Let's make this, that is fine actually. Cool. So let's shoot out to ChatGPT-5 and let's see first the response and how it's gonna handle the rest. Okay. All right, so now it's thinking. I had to refresh it, so now it's thinking. Let's see. All right, so the prompt went through. All right, and what's cool about this flow, guys, is I created a pretty extensive and detailed system message. So there's a lot of instructions and rules because this way we ensure that it creates a really solid marketing plan. Okay, so now it's running. It's using the GPT-5. Okay, so it didn't take too long, and it only used about 4,000 tokens, which is pretty good. And guys, just look at all these questions, okay? Objectives and KPIs, audience, geo, language, positioning, pricing offer, assets, readiness, right? So pretty cool. Since I don't have all of these ones, right? So I'm gonna say suggest these for me as version 1. Okay, so I wanted to handle everything from A to Z. In real life scenario, obviously you guys can have a business model. You're gonna do everything one by one, because this way you're gonna get a really solid marketing plan. But for now, we're just gonna be stress testing the GPT-5 as a whole model, right? So let's just look at that, giving a timeline and the budget and the channels. It's suggesting already like X, YouTube, TikTok. Cool. So let's see what it comes up with right now. So I'm just interested why it decided on its own to use the content and email marketing agent and is doing web scraping. So really curious on the logic and reasoning behind this action. Okay, let's check it out. Super curious about this one. And here we can actually see the prompt that CMO agent sent to this AI agent. You are the AI content and email marketing agent. Create preliminary GTM. Nice. It even understands what does the GTM mean in the marketing. Launch plan version 1 for a micro-SaaS web application that uses AI to generate viral YouTube shorts, and then explains the structure, and then it says the product differentiates with the best in class hook engine and auto bureau sourcing. Cool. So this is improvised. I didn't provide these details. So it understands the business and the niche. And then it adds more details because I said, do it for me. Okay. And then it even adds goal KPIs, 2,000 people waitlist, signups, pre-launch, 200 paid trials. Okay. So really all the SaaS metrics that you would be looking for in a marketing plan for a micro-SaaS web application. Pretty sick. That's really sick. So the only downside really with ChatGPT 5 for now, what I see for APIs, it takes a bit of time. So for now, it's been already running for almost 4 minutes, right? And we only are using one specialist so far. And that's kind of what the pattern I've seen since the launch, right? It's really slow. Again, it could be because it's a new model. There's a lot of demand. But currently, it takes quite a bit of time to generate, extensive, I would say, data with GPT-5, something like this, right? So we are already crossing almost 4 minute mark. So that would be kind of the only downside I see with ChatGPT-5. And also, what happens sometimes, it basically errors out. It gives a request timeout. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. So I looked it up online, and some people are experiencing the same issues. And that is basically because right now there's a lot of demand on GPT-5. A lot of people are using it. So my guess, there's a bit of a overload for the API requests, right? But if I do it second time, it's gonna go through. Okay. So for example, now it went through, guys. You guys can see it just used it second time. It went through. So if you have a request timeout issue with OpenAI models for the model number 5, then definitely basically either retry the same prompt, or you can say something like be concise or short, because sometimes it can be an issue of the context, especially with everything that's happening right now. Everybody's stress testing the GPT-5 and generating a bunch of things because it's a new model. So you might have a bit of issues there. But down the road, it's going to be better and we won't have these errors anymore. So it's a pretty common error, guys. Here, I found another person. They're having the same issue, specifically for APIs and a longer. Basically, if there's a bigger context window or more complex queries, it times out. Okay, so I'm not the only one. A lot of people are facing this, and yeah, it's totally normal for brand new models to have these type of issues because there's more demand than usual. But as the time goes by, the model is improved and the servers are improved. Okay, these issues will be fixed. So I think to kind of address this issue right here, right? So we can probably stop the flow. Okay, we're gonna stop the flow, and I'm gonna say suggest um, suggest these for me and fill in the missing info. And here I'm gonna say something interesting. I'm gonna say be concise and to the point. Okay, and I'll put exclamation mark so it understands it's important. So let's resend down, and now it should work. Okay, let me send that, and now it should be all good. Okay, so that's kind of a couple of small hiccups with the GPT-5, but again, expected for new models is totally okay. But this round two now it should work because we are asking the AI model to be concise and to the point, which will basically cut down the response by easily by 50%. Okay. And you can as well limit the amount of tokens for the AI model. So if you click on the AI model node, you can click add option and then basically max, I've seen it somewhere, maximum number of tokens, right? So you can limit it to like, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 to kind of avoid this. But again, you can run into different errors because it's going to cut off the content, right? If it's a bigger content and if there's a limitation of tokens, you might have some cut off content there, right? So let's see if it works. So it thought about it. So it's good. Okay, the reason why it's orange because I opened it and I tried to add an option. And when you do that while it's doing its thing, it's going to get highlighted as orange because I attempted to change, but I didn't do any changes. You can see it was successfully generated from the main CMO AI model. So now it's sending the request to the content marketing agent again. So let's see if we will be successful this time or we're going to get a request timeout error again second time. Because you can see we are sending a lot of, well, I don't want to say a lot. There you go, guys. So it actually works. So the issue is when there's a lot of, or too much data, or the context window is too big, or you're sending too much data through request, right? It can give you the request timeout. But now since we are asking for concise and shorter content or response, it went through successfully, okay? And instead of doing 13 API calls on the Tably web scraper, it only used 5, okay? So that makes a difference. I guess more of like a got you type moment, specifically for new AI models, right? All right, so good news, it went through. This time it was successfully, no request timeout errors. So now it's basically sending the data back to the CMO agent. Now it's going to summarize and now it's going to give us a response. Okay, but again, just look at that, guys. It took it again 4 minutes, and we used, well, the token amount is not that bad, almost 29,000 to this moment, 37. It's still pretty good considering we are asking for a pretty big and extensive data output. So not really the tokens, it's my concern. My concern is really the time because we are crossing again 4 minute mark for a pretty simple prompt. All right, so it finally gave me an answer 4 minutes later. And it said, I filled in the gaps and built concise, ready to execute preliminary launch plan. And it gives me basically the budget and virality drivers, hook in the first 2 seconds, 20 seconds. Okay, that's for marketing the product on social media. Which platforms to basically market it to. YouTube Creator Insider, Indie Hackers, pretty cool. So you guys can see like the data output quality is really good, but again, the trade-off is really the timing. Okay, and this is a fairly simple problem. So imagine if you are actually asking more complex research or queries, like you can easily go to like 10-minute mark with these type of questions, right? So I feel that's kind of downside, but again, it's going to be fixed down the road. Totally normal for new AI models, right? So I'm not going to be trying to stress test it with other agents, not to waste your time, guys. What I'm going to do, basically, I think I already logged. If I look at the spreadsheet, the data was logged already. So here it is. We have the data logged in here. So what I want now, I'm going to ask it. Oh, it's already asking here, guys. Pretty cool. Also, what email should I send the concise summary? Cool. So I'm going to say send summary to my email, which is basically here. Let's give it my email and let's see if it can work with the Gmail tool as well. And that's it. Actually, I made a typo here. Okay, so let's send that. Let's see if it doesn't take 5 minutes to send an email. That would be crazy. So yeah, guys, for a simple task to send me an email with a summary, it's taking again almost over a minute. So I would say if you don't have to absolutely use ChatGPT for any reasons, stick with 4.0. If you need coding, stick with Cloud for now, because for API usage, this is just a little bit too much, right? They're just gonna really mess up your project deadlines and timelines because these are quite a bit of a wait times, I would say. All right, so it took about It took about 4 minutes. So it looks like the average for any request is really almost 4 minutes here. So I did use the Gmail tool. Let's go and check it out now. So if I'm going to go to my Gmail, okay, and let's see. Okay, here it is. It even gave a name for my app, which is pretty cool. Okay, so the summary is a bit of a formatting mess, but again, the focus was really on formatting it. I didn't really apply any custom HTML to format it. The point is, it used the Gmail tool. It sent me the summary, which is exactly what we need. All right, so everything is working. It can use the tools. It can do the research. The only downside is really the processing time. Okay, so 4 minutes on average for a simple prompt is a little bit too much, but again, we hopefully will see improvement over time. Yes, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and enable those notifications so you get notified when the next video like this drops. Because I'm always providing freebies like free JSON templates, free Google Docs, and pretty much everything you need to know as a beginner to start building successfully your own end-to-end workflows and really understanding how AI agents work, guys. Okay, so as always, you already know, I'm gonna see you next time.